deals with devil worship and satanic beliefs. It contains explicit scenes and descriptions of violent crimes and rituals. Because of the program's theme and controversial subject matter, parental discretion should be exercised.
You have to give a blood sacrifice to Satan. It's supposed to keep you protected. It's supposed to keep you pure.
They said that if we told that the devil would come and kill our parents.
It doesn't matter if you believe in Satan. It doesn't matter if you believe in demons. What's important is to know that there are people out there that do, and they're willing to do anything to accomplish their goal.
What? This is Satanic Panic. And seeing as how I lived through that 30 years ago, I can't wait to take this thing off my wrist because it doesn't fit anymore. Hello. I'm here with your host, Sheena. We're going to talk about something we unfortunately lived through. The Satanic Panic. Hello. Nice shirts.
Yeah. Old concert t-shirts I dug out just for this show.
You know what my favorite is your Slayer. I'm pointing, you can't see my hand and the bulging bicep. You see a Slayer shirt? Like, I remember when kids were like, that stands for Satan laughs as you eternally rot. It's like, well, there's no dots in between it, so it just means Slayer. But I had the Rain and Blood Do You Want to Die shirt. I remember that. They were a pretty good band, actually. I can't throw shade at them.
Yeah, actually, this is the Rain and Blood one too.
Did you go to the concert? Did you go to the concert at the old Civic?
No, I didn't. Actually, I got that from a friend of mine. I think they went to the concert. I don't think I was able to go to the concert because I was a little bit younger. I want to say it was 87.
Yeah, 87 to 89, somewhere in there. I remember my little punk ass got dragged to it.
Mm-hmm.
Motley Crue. Which Motley Crue shirt is that?
Oh God, I honestly don't even know without turning around and looking.
I remember everybody liked the one with the two music muse masks that had the pentagram. It was like
Theater of Pain.
Theater of Pain. And then Ozzy. I went to an Ozzy concert. I got dragged to when I was a little kid. I went to the because remember the picture was of him going like, no, it was like this girl with this big ass and leather pants going like this, and he was like a demon. Was that the ultimate
Diary of a Madman? Was it Diary of a Madman?
Sure. I liked I was not a fan. And Judas Priest, I like the movie loosely based on them Rockstar with the great Mark Wahlberg. I've got Trick or Treat behind me, my favorite satanic heavy metal horror movie from the 80s, where you can watch Skippy from Family Ties play a stoner.
Yeah.
Wake up, sleepyhead.
It's party time!
Rock and roll will never die. At least not this Halloween.
You've heard of raising spirits from the dead by incantations, right?
Yes.
I did that by playing the record backwards.
You're kidding.
Sammy Kerr. He's a rock and roll nightmare.
I am a big fan of yours. I've got all your records. Shut up!
You're the bait, and they is you.
This message is meant for me.
How can you listen to this stuff?
Shut it off! Shut it off!
What have you done to your stereo?
I wanted a new one.
Sammy Kerr. His fans won't let him die. He won't let them live.
You should be loyal to your hero. Make it turn on you.
Or treat.
Looks like we better check out the party punch.
That was great too.
Great movie. I mean, Satanic Panic was so, how do I say this polite? It was so effing stupid. And you and I lived through that. And like everybody's like, well, back in our era, everybody was like, well, all the kids thought parents were so dumb. Parents were fucking dumb. They bought into this. I mean, tell me about Satanic Panic.
Well, when I was growing up, I would say, let's see, 8th grade was 1987. And it's probably when I started getting into more of the heavy metal stuff, more speed metal, different things like that. My parents weren't really concerned about it. My dad was a musician. You know, he liked lots of different music, and he knew it was just all kind of a fad. But it seemed like there was just so much coming out about the bands, Ozzy Osbourne's, you know, Suicide Solution, and all this satanic stuff that was coming out, and Motley Crue Shout at the Devil, and then you've got, you know, Slayer with the, you know, the markings and all of that kind of stuff. It seems like they thought there was something that was overtaking or putting the kids kind of in a trance with this music, and almost kind of like demonic possession type of thing.
When every parent bought into it, they're like, oh my God, this is Satan. This is Satan. And we had to endure all these shows. And I remember my grandma was really pissy, and she wouldn't let me watch the whole Geraldo. And I apologize in advance. This episode is going to be ADD as fuck. But like Geraldo had the specials like exposing Satan's underground. And he would come on, he'd be like, parents, this is not a horror movie. This is not heavy metal. Don't let, I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Don't let your children watch this. But if you have teenagers, watch it with them, so I know Satan has a grasp. Now, to Geraldo's credit, he has since apologized for doing bullshit like that. But I remember that episode, and it was like, what the hell? But, and he had Ozzy Osbourne on there going, and, but there were so many things they left out. Like one of the things I want to mention right away, they were talking about, and during this whole Satanic Panic, which, I mean, it screwed everything. Like they talked about, and before they really delved into, like, the music got a beating. Movies, and I'm a horror fan, we took a beating from hell. Murderers, everything was blamed on Satan. Now, I want to hit you with the name. I want to hit you with the name Ricky Casso. He was the guy that killed for Satan. Do you remember him?
Oh gosh, okay, I didn't recognize the name, but yeah, I do remember that. Mm-hmm.
See, now, this guy was one of your first prominent names because they made some movies about him and everything. And he was like, he stabbed his buddy or a kid he knew, like some fat kid he knew or something, like 50-something times. And he was going, swear to Satan. So right away, they're like, the devil made him do it. Well, let's also factor in, as this is the truth, he's also known as the Acid King.
Yeah.
Who did 37 hits of bladder acid, which they thought might have even been mescaline, the pure shit, before he killed his friend. He thought he was stabbing a fucking crayon, for all we know. But yeah, that, and and the reason I'm saying this first is I want to point out, parents didn't realize that. They weren't like, oh my God, this kid took a shitload of drugs and he drank and he murdered this guy because the guy owed him money for acid. He was another fucking junkie. They just think, he said, I swear to Satan. Oh, it's like the water boy. It's the devil.
Why not, Mama?
Because little girls are the devil.
You know, and that's what people thought back then. Everything was, if you talk back to your parents, it was the devil. If you got bad grades, the devil. If you watch horror movies, the devil. The devil was, and I mean, I'm Catholic, but I don't want to make the devil a scapegoat by any means. The devil was the scapegoat. They blamed him for every fucking thing back then.
Yeah. They pretty much blamed everything on it. Yeah, everything from, you know, movies to just, I mean, any kind of bad behavior. They just assumed, oh, you know, they're under the influence of the devil. And it seemed like the Catholic Church really grasped this so much that there was a girl that ABC did a special 2020. Do you remember that, where they did the live exorcism or whatever it was, or they aired?
I won't let you leave. It felt phony as shit.
Yeah, some 16-year-old girl. I think it was in New York. Her name was Gina. That's pretty creepy. But yeah, and the funny thing was, when I was digging through these T-shirts and whatnot, I actually found the article and I completely forgot about it. So then I was like, oh my God, here's this article that was in the Omaha World Herald about televised exorcism, decision to allow the filming of 2020 is being questioned.
Which you can watch on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, you can watch on YouTube. I actually just watched it earlier. And I completely forgot about this. When we were putting all this stuff together, I completely forgot about it until I pulled out some, old posters. I was like, oh, I found a Judas Priest poster and all this stuff. And I found this article and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to Google this because I've completely forgot about it. But yeah, some 16-year-old girl in New York, and at least I believe it was New York. And then they basically, the Catholic Church was saying that it really was in the best interest. Hold on a second. I think I wrote it down here. They were saying that they wanted to do this and televise this because they believed that the existence of the devil, they wanted to encourage the belief. They wanted to encourage the belief of the existence of the devil and wanted to give accurate information about how the church could provide relief from the diabolical forces. I mean, they wanted to encourage so people could see this, which was like making so much. I honestly, to me, I don't know if the girl had some issues or whatever. It looked very fake to me. It looked very put on. It almost looked like she was looking for attention or something, and maybe she didn't want to do what she was told. And then the devil came out, parents, I remember, like, if you wanted to date a guy and your parents didn't want to date, didn't want you dating him, and you threw a fit and screamed and yelled and did this, they'd lock you in a room. Oh my God, Satan has got her,
This guy right here. I was every parent's nightmare, which worked well for me. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, but like everything was always left out of this. Like the Geraldo special, it's called Geraldo, Exposing Satan's Underground, which you can watch on YouTube. I watched it the other day. My wife was, once again, that's not my wife. My wife was pissed because she's like, you've shown me this dumb shit before. I was like, well, I gotta watch this dumb shit again. We're from Nebraska, and sure enough, there's a place where we live called the Old Market. And the Old Market, contrary to what anybody thinks, is a fucking rat hole with brick streets. But all at once it became, what's the word I want? Like a tourist attraction. Like when I was young, it was like, don't go there after 8 o'clock at night. You'll get stabbed by a homeless crackhead. Now it's like the homeless crackhead's just going to sit in the alley, but go ahead and shop at the candy store. But he interviewed some people there, and it was like, even the heartland of America cannot escape the grasp of Satan. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, I'm going to see some shit. And of course, they blur the kid's face out, so you just see like a fucking nose. But here's where parents were stupid. And these kids are like, yeah, I was in a cult and they cut off 3 of my fingers. Okay, there's 5 fucking fingers showing, so we're already lying. Yeah, and they were flying around on brooms. Okay, it's not real. It's not Harry Potter. And they was drinking the blood, and they made me have sex with a goat. And I'm making this up, but
yeah,
this was the stupidity of it. Like, and I'll segue this because you're a better fact checker than me. One thing that made me very sick was the McMartin preschool trial, which is one thing that got a really big bump in Satanism. And these people are saying like, oh, they flew me to Mexico and we watched a goat get killed. And then we flew back to New York in the span of an hour. It's like, okay, fucker, I've been on a plane. It don't take that longer. We had a masturbate on a doll and drink blood, and then Chuck Norris came in, and that's really how stupid this was. And so as a kid watching it, like you and me are like, this is dumb as fuck. But parents are like, what t-shirt are you wearing to school tomorrow, you little bastard? You know, like that. So it was really, I mean, I don't want to be that guy because you and I have kids. We're older now, but I'd like to think that our and kids. Let me tell you what, anyone listening, you have kids, they think you're fucking stupid. They think you're fucking old. They think you're fucking square. You're not going to get past that. But luckily, people like me and Gina have lived through this, so we're not as stupid in the square. Maybe we are in some aspects. I don't know, but this satanic shit was really dumb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember being in high school and having teachers, you know, be upset about different T-shirts or whatever. And actually, I wore, you know, all of these T-shirts to school. I think as long as it didn't have like beer or cigarettes or something advertising like that, or drugs or whatever, they were okay with. But there were some teachers that were, you know, kind of put off by it. And I remember having one teacher who didn't like the pen, because I used to wear all the little pens, you know, all over your jean jacket. And I have this pen because I was like probably one of the only ones I kept. It says, the devil made me do it and I want to do it again. And I remember they made me take that off my jacket. They must have been, you know, extremely religious. And honestly, I didn't worship the devil. I nothing like that. Honestly, like all of the music, the movies, all of it, this was all just a fad, you know, to me. And I thought it was just a funny, you know, just like telling a joke. It's just a funny. But yeah, I remember them, you know, making you remove certain things that they didn't like. It was kind of crazy.
So I was a little different. Like when I hit, and then here comes the you had Ozzy Osbourne, you know, you had Ultimate Sin, and you had Smoking in the Boys' Room, and you had all this, and then you had Breaking the Law. And to me, I was like, God, this is fucking terrible. And then I took into punk music, like the Misfits are my favorite band. Still to this day, Millions of Dead Christians, Minor Threat, the Dead Kennedys, the Ramones. I liked all that, which was, and here's the scary part, like, and that was another one. Everybody was like, I remember my grandparents, because I was raised by my psychotic grandparents, like, look at this Misfit album. He's singing about fucking eating dead bodies. Yeah, that's the Hate Breeders. It's about the movie Night of the Living Dead. Like, people were too stupid to realize that, but it was like, okay, what I'm listening to is a little more hardcore. Now, if you want to be technical, and I'm not insulting you. If you want to talk about these real hard people that are killing people and all that, look at all this. And yes, I'm jealous. Look at all these teased hair dudes. You dude behind me. Yeah. How is that evil? You got these guys, they got mascara, eyelashes, and they got the teased hair, and they're going, what?
Yeah.
That's not, you hit the nail on that. It's a fad. That was a fad from, excuse me, I'm bad with dates. Let's say I'm making up dates, 85 to 86. And then skateboarding became a fad. So then everybody liked punk music. Then rap, which I'm not a big fan of, that became a fad. Everything is a fad. People just, we didn't understand it. You know, parents, you just had to keep up with the latest fad. Like, I went from wearing jeans with ripped up holes in the knees to the Z Cavaricis that had the two belts with the two buckles and all that. You didn't know, but yeah, but they blamed everything was, oh no, that Megadeth album, that's Satan because he's choking a parakeet or some. Fucking Sylvester used to choke Tweety Bird, but that wasn't evil. I mean, it was.
That wasn't satanic. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and like all the names. Remember AC/DC? Like that stands for after Christ, death comes. No, it's like the back of a fucking
electronics.
Yeah, the box or whatever. It was like, unless there's dots in between letters, it usually doesn't stand for anything. But I mean, now were your parents like weird? Were they kind of like, oh, wait a minute, daughter, why are you wearing this T-shirt? We're gonna make you go back in the house. Were they that weird or?
No, no, not really. I was a child of divorce, so I lived with my mom for a short bit, and then ended up living with my dad. I remember specifically my mom being really upset because she had bought me school clothes, and I took a pair of Levi's and I did the shred, where you cut it every 2 inches, all the way down the legs, butt cheeks and all, hanging out. And you did that, for concerts. You couldn't wear it that way to school, but that was, what you did for concerts. Oh, she was so angry with me. I remember she wrote me a letter because at the time she had moved down to Missouri and was living down there off of Table Rock Lake. And she wrote me this letter.
Mom? Sorry, are we talking about
my mom?
Mom, I'm going to tell you what, because I know she watches this. Your mom is actually really cute. I'm just throwing this in there.
Yeah, she's a pretty cute lady. She's 73,
baby.
Yeah. But she wrote me this letter and said, I don't know why I spend $40 on a pair, and that like Levi's were like, $30-$40 back like 1987, 88. And she's like, I don't know why I spend all this money on these jeans for you just to shred them all up, and you want to go to school looking like Orphan Annie. That's what she said. I was just like, I didn't do all of them. It was just one, because that's kind of the style. Now you walk into the Kohl's and you've got soccer moms wearing holy jeans now. And it's fashionable. But boy, when I was wearing flannel shirts and concert T-shirts and holy jeans, you were considered a stoner or, some bad kid. Automatically, stamped bad kid.
Jeans come pre-ripped now. I bought in pairs that are pre-ripped.
Yeah, I have too. But yeah, no. I remember my mom being bent out of shape over me cutting some jeans up and whatnot. But my dad really didn't have really much to say. I really didn't wear clothes that were extremely, inappropriate. So he never really had much of a problem with that. I remember right before prom, I put Lee press-on nails on, and they were so long that I couldn't button my button fly jeans for school. And I will never forget, he had to help me button my pants for school because he's like, you're not staying. And I didn't have anything with zippers at the time. I'm not calling you out of school. So if you got to pee, it's all on you. But yeah, tight jeans, jean jackets, leather, concert T-shirts. That was my wardrobe.
Well, and I'm going to tell you what, it's up here now. She sent me a picture of herself. I'm liking this picture so much, I'm about ready to say, hey, let's fuck our wives and husbands. Let's make this. But one of the things I always remembered from the 80s was my cousin, his name's James. That's his name. So feel free to harass him because he was a fucking nerd. And he would always tell me, man, anybody that's cool, we listen to Styx. Fucking nerd. There you go. And we play Dungeons and Dragons. See, now I'm going somewhere with this because they would always say Dungeons and Dragons was the gateway to the devil.
I do not think that many parents are aware of what's inside the game. In fact, in my presentation, I show many pictures from the inside of the books just to show the images of this game. I mean, the gruesomeness of this game and the occult link to it.
Well, I know that when I did my message, and this has happened, I have letter after letter where people took the pieces. Now, there's sixes involved in the pieces of the game, but they'd take the pieces of the game, they would throw them in the incinerator or the fireplace, and screams would come out because there seemed to be some kind of spiritual forces inhabiting those pieces, and children would drop out of life. They didn't want to study anymore. What are the pieces, for instance?
Well, this game affects the most intelligent of our children. And the pieces include white witches, wizards, necromancers, the clerics, that type of thing. It includes evil wizards. It's a white versus black witchcraft. The good versus evil is white versus black witchcraft. And Anton LaVey, the writer of the Satanist Bible, says there is no such thing as white witchcraft.
Well, being a Satan worshiper, he should know.
Yeah, he should.
Because these two kids stayed up for 24 hours and they played Dungeons and Dragons and they committed suicide.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons, for those of you who don't know. And I went to his house and I played it once. I was smart enough to know when I was real little, this is for nerds. No offense if you play Dungeons and Dragons. Some guy sits there and he goes, okay, the ogre's coming. What are you doing? You take some dice. You're not even playing craps for money. You go, 6. And you stabbed him. It was the most boring shit of my life. So, but parents are like, well, but Dungeons and Dragons is the devil. Mm-hmm. People kill themselves. Okay, here, and they kill themselves because they play Dungeons and Dragons and listen to Ozzy Osbourne. Here's the thing they don't say. But these two kids, and it was legitimate. I can't think of their names. These two kids that killed themselves, they did stay up for 24 hours playing Dungeons and Dragons. They did listen to heavy metal music. They also smoked a shitload of pot, did a ton of acid, and drank an ungodly amount of whiskey. None of that was the factor. It was that Dungeons and Dragons, which is 100% fucking nerd. But that became another one that everybody was trying to ban. Like, oh, it's the gateway to Satan. It's like, no, at least if I'm throwing dice and I'm throwing 7, come 11, I'm playing craps with some friends, I can win some money. If I'm going, okay, my ogre kills your nighttime. That's what fucking nerds play. And no offense if you play it, because I'm a nerd in my own right, but it was never a satanic game. It's fucking stupid. It was because they didn't have video games back then.
Yeah. It was just a video game in a board game.
How many cool dudes did you know that played Dungeons and Dragons?
Not very many. There were a couple of guys that I knew that played it, and I tried really hard to embrace. They were wanting to talk about. They were talking about it and this, that, and whatever. And I'm like, this just. I couldn't get into it at all. So I really, honestly, I was never immersed in that. That wasn't my Saturday night, playing Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, it really got a bad rap with that. And it just goes to show that, anything that they can stick in that little box, like we say, check the box, is this, that's satanic. But
tell me about the McMartin. One of the things that was really big. Tell me about the McMartin preschool trials.
Was that the one that was it was called Little Rascals?
I think so.
I think that was I think
that was the big one up in New York.
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah, I think that was one. If I remember right, there was like seven people that were in that daycare. If we're talking about the same one, but this one that I remember was there was 7 people that were either preschool teachers, owners of the daycare, whatever, were all brought in and questioned, arrested, whatnot. I think there were 90 kids that all had stories about all this fantastical stuff that had happened to them, and anything from cannibalistic type stuff that they said that they had them doing to oh my gosh, let me think. I think I wrote down a note or two here.
I want to shame right now any prosecutor that took that case on. If you're trying to convict these people, you were a full-blown piece of shit.
Yeah. But no, they were like, yeah, they were like 90 kids that were, that all had, you know, some type of, you know, a crazy story about something that had happened. Their satanic rituals, they had done, oh my goodness, like something about children hanging from trees, stuff about pirates, trained sharks. I mean, it was really like
stupid
and crazy. And the thing was that they gave so much credit to these kids. And if you give children enough information, they will feed you back what they think you want to hear. And that's basically what they did. Was, well, Johnny says this happened, or didn't this happen? You know, I know that these kids came up with all these crazy, you know, things, and it's just really sad that ruined a lot of lives.
And you would have, this is, oh wait, you can't see him. Oh man, this is baby Froggy. And he was a stuffed animal. But this lady that was taking the stuffed animal would be like, okay, I know you can't tell because of the green screen. I'm pointing to the frog, where the frog would have a penis. And they're like, right there. Is that where he touched you? Did he go like that? I mean, they were really leading these kids on.
Yeah.
Point up to where that was excused. But these kids, one kid, and why I made the Chuck Norris reference in the beginning, one kid, they were like showing a lineup, and it was like the people that ran the school, and they were just for the fuck of it. You know, they threw in like picture of Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, did you know Chuck Norris once beat Usain Bolt in a 100-meter dash? He ran backwards while juggling chainsaws. Anyway, so they picked out Chuck Norris. That should be enough, like, what the fuck? But these kids were telling stories, and what it all turned out after like 10 years of these poor people's lives, it was a mom. She was mad at her ex, and she decided to blame the school. That's what it all came down to. But these kids would tell this story and like, yeah. And I'm not making this up. You can Google it, look it up. They put us on a plane and they flew us to Mexico. And the witches flew around on their brooms and they drank the blood of Satan. And then they flew us back. Or another one would be like, and these dummies excavated this building. Like, they would take us to the underground tunnels and we would watch as they danced with dead goats, and we'd say, "Hail Satan."
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that as a father, if somebody came home and said, "Hey, somebody touched your kid," I'm fucking some shit up.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. But when my kid starts going, and then they flew around the room and went, woo-de-doo-de-doo-de, and then they drank the goat's blood, be like, son, are you a little fucked up in the head? You know, how this made it to court. And this thing, it wasn't like it was dismissed in 30 days. We're talking about people that spent 5 years in fucking jail because of this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It was quite a bit. Yeah. And, you know, people don't realize that kids of all ages, not even just this preschool age, are very susceptible to, what's the word for it? You know, being influenced, I guess, into what do you want me to say? So, you know, they're very easily coerced into saying something that they probably wouldn't normally say, or say, oh, well, Satan made me do this, or whatever. But, you know, really, they didn't even know why they did it. Maybe they had some mental illness or whatever. But it goes across from adults, teenagers, children. I mean, if people can be coerced to say things, you know, that are not true, and then people go to jail for years and years and years, you know, it's super sad.
Everything back then was, let's blame Satan, because it was, like you said earlier, it was a fad.
Yeah.
Heavy metal music, the clothes, I can't do it anymore, you still can, the teased hair, all that stuff. It was a fad. So, and let's say the fad is today. And I got a high school kid. everybody that wears pajamas to school is Satan. Everybody that wears slippers is Satan. That's how easy it was. It was so dumb that everybody just, and I think parents were like, I don't want to blame a parent saying they were like incompetent or something, but that was just their blame for everything. I remember my grandma, psycho bitch that she was, I was a horror movie lover, and I have all these horror movies, and she'd be like, if anybody, and I never knew what this meant. And then when I did, I was like, I'm glad you rotted away and died in a home. She's like, if anybody ever came to this house and they saw these magazines and tapes, they would know. It was like, okay, I'm glad you're dead. Because then, and the weird thing with when it came to the music, like all the bands that you have behind you and everything, they started putting parental advisory because it was evil. What did that do? That was free advertisement to sell more fucking records.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, kids went crazy. If you're telling me that I need my parent to get this, you better bet that I'm going to try harder to get it or fight against, these what was the label? It was like
parental advisory, extreme
parental advisory, yeah, explicit lyrics. Tipper Gore, yeah, she really forefronted the whole movement there of getting those labels put on the on all of the music. And honestly, you tell a kid, oh, this is bad, they're going to want to know. They're going to want to know 10 times more. So these people just gained like twice as many fans just because of the hype, the news, the labels you want to stick on the tapes and records and whatnot. They were like, oh, and I'm going to start watching Headbangers Ball. I want to see what this is all this Satan stuff's about, So they gained, just from Tipper Gore and all these parents who were picketing different things, they really opened up, a whole nother category of people who were probably not into that music, got into that music. Now, here's a perfect example for you. So like Metallica, no radio play. Okay. No radio play until what was it? Was it 1990? I think when One came out, right? So if you wanted their record, you had to go down to like Pickles or Homer's or something. And
Pickles, I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, Pickles was in the Miller Plaza there, and you'd wait for their album to come out. Now, they did not, there was no radio play whatsoever with them. And then they ended that with One. Well, I will tell you, I believe that the hype over, explicit lyrics, over, bringing all the Satanism stuff really brought new fans. And when they decided to release One, oh my gosh, I was so angry because I was like, now the jocks and all these other people are now listening to the music that I had been listening to for years and was a loyal fan to it and waited in line for the album to come out and everything else. No radio play. And now all of a sudden they're blaring it out their windows, in their cars out of the high school parking lot. And I was like, oh, now they're taking our music. Because it really did open up. To me, it opened up a big door of other fans coming in, which is great. I think everybody, should be able to like any kind of music they want. But I think it opened up more fans for them, if it did anything.
What it did for me was fuck me, because I've always been, and I'll tell a little story on the air, if you don't mind. If you do mind, well, tell me to edit it. I'm a horror fan, extreme horror fan. Now, unlike all the other horror fans out there, physical media is dead. I remember showing Gina long ago Zombie Holocaust, aka Dr. Butcher, MD, medical deviant.
His name is Dr. Butcher, MD, medical deviant, and he has perverted the science of medicine for his own maniacal means. Dr. Butcher, MD, medical deviant.
You will die, only to live again in a younger body. Then you can tell me if the operation was a success, what it's like to pass from life to death, and death to life.
See Dr. Butcher's diabolical surgery.
must have a psychopathic deviant in the hospital.
See him mutilate patients with his murderous scalpel. Dr. Butcher loves New York. There are so many attractive patients to operate on.
I could easily kill you now, but I'm determined to have your brain. It'll be the culmination of my career.
Dr. Butcher, medical deviant. He loves to operate on beautiful women.
I'm on the verge of discovering the key to increasing man's lifespan by over 100 years. Prepare the operating table. I'm anxious to experiment on a male Caucasian brain. Well, the time has come for you to play your part in this momentous occasion. Science must surmount all obstacles, and this requires certain sacrifices. It will comfort you to know that generations to come will reap great benefits from my experiments.
Bloodthirsty lunatic.
Dr. Butcher, MD, medical deviant. He's a depraved, sadistic rapist, a bloodthirsty, homicidal killer. And he makes house calls. Dr. Butcher, MD, medical deviant, rated R.
And it was a Italian, I believe Italian. It's been a while since I watched a horror movie, a zombie movie or a cannibal movie.
Mm-hmm.
You thought you were going to eat your fucking kids, man. This lady didn't sleep for days, man. It was messed up. But during the 80s, that was the blame for everything. Like Behind Me is Trick or Treat, which is one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of poked fun at it. There's another one called Black Roses, poke fun at it. But one of the ones that really felt the brunt of it was a movie. It's one of my favorite movies. It's called Silent Night, Deadly Night. And it's about a guy who, when he's a kid, little kid, his parents are killed by a guy dressed like Santa who just robbed a liquor store. And the guy shoots his dad. The guy in a Santa suit shoots his dad. He rapes his mom and kills her. The kid grows up in an orphanage. He's terrified of Santa. So when he later has to wear a Santa outfit, he like goes like psycho and he starts killing people. It's a very popular movie nowadays. Now, the weird thing is I went to Catholic school. Don't laugh at me. And my psychotic grandma was one of the ones that, here's the commercial, Silent Night, Deadly Night. This is terrible. They're going to think Santa's a killer. Okay, now here's the really weird thing with it. Once again, what people did in the 80s didn't realize. And I remember all the apology letters like, well, this movie is, they're advertising it during primetime television, and it's going to make kids think that Santa, I guess if you jumble the letters, it spells Satan.
Yeah.
Santa is killing people. Okay, I get that. Now, I remember 100%, I saw the commercial during Three's Company. I love Three's Company. Suzanne's. I love the fucking Thigh Master. I love Suzanne Silver. I love Three's Company. Here's the thing: what they should have said. Now, parents, I know you're letting your kids watch a show about a guy who pretends to be gay, to live with two women, and the landlord makes fun of him for being gay. So this is very homophobic. And the plot of every episode is this dude wants to have sex with two women. So he goes on a double date and he moves around and he tries to have sex while pretending he's gay. That's fine. That's fucking, I don't care if you're 4. That's child's humor. That commercial where that guy dressed like Santa might come out with the axe, that's bad. So it just shows you how stupid people were. And, they got the movie canceled in a day. Movie's fucking collector's item nowadays. I've shown it to my kid on Christmas. We watch it every Christmas. It's a great movie. It's no Dr. Butcher MD, but it's a good movie. I'm just telling you how dumb parents were back then. They're not thinking, okay, this commercial's so bad, but we're letting our kids watch a show where a guy pretends to be gay to screw two women at once. It was just, I know you watched Three's Company. We all did.
Yeah. That's just crazy. No, I do remember that movie. There's so many movies that that I loved that, yeah, my folks probably didn't care for. I know my dad didn't care for the Hellraiser movies when those came out, but
I love the Hellraiser.
I loved them. I absolutely, and honestly, it may have had to do with a lot of more of the creative, the art that was in it. I mean, just like American Werewolf in London, that is like one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's because of all the special effects and everything that were put into it. There was no computerized art in it or what. This was all done with latex paint,
on the Oscar that year.
Say that again.
It won the Oscar that year. Rick Baker got the Oscar for best special effects.
Yeah. But no, I love the Hellraiser movies, and and they were, about the devil and Satan and all of this, crazy stuff. But I love to be scared to death. I loved it. I absolutely loved to be scared. I don't know why, because I would have nightmares and I would not sleep well, but it was just something about that feeling.
Was Jason coming to kill you at night?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like behind me is Trick or Treat. And then they started doing a whole subculture of heavy metal horror movies. And there weren't that many of them, but like Trick or Treat, he plays his record backwards and the rock star comes out and he's going to help him kill all these people that are mean to him. Black Roses, the band it's a heavy metal band, and they're really demons. And, there were a few movies like that. And I was a fan of them. They had the heavy metal, but they were kind of like poking the bear. It's like, this is, I mean, I had records too, but like parents would pick up and they're like, oh, geez, I'm picking up my phone. Like, oh, geez, my kid's got this Megadeth record where a guy in a gas mask choking a bird. That's why he's flunking school, not to be like, what are these 9 roaches in this ashtray here? I mean, it was just Satanic Panic was stupid. And I think we're going to live through it again in one form or the other.
Oh, well, we are already, like, now. I mean, you've got, now we've got a lot of sensation over Taylor Swift has got some ritual looking stuff going on in her concerts. I want to say it was Beyonce had something in one of hers where I don't know if it was Satan or something that was.
It says pedophile. Like, you're talking about the one where it's like the graffiti picture?
I can't remember. I remember seeing where they were at the concert and there was like Satan, like literally the name Satan was like flashed on the bottom. And I guess they were saying that the concert kind of made them like uncomfortable. Like there was this kind of, I don't know if what they were doing with the music or something sounded ritualistic and whatever. And a lot of people were saying that it made them feel uncomfortable. The weird thing was, I don't remember going to any of these concerts. Now, I never went to a Slayer concert, but when I went to all these other concerts, there was no devil worshiping. There was no seances. There was no, we're going to go around in a ring and put a pentagram on the ground. None of the concerts that I went to ever had anything like that. But they're talking about this guy, what is it, the Weeknd. I'm not really into the new music as well, but I guess he started off really mild and now is a lot of his stuff has really gone demonic. My youngest daughter really likes the Gorillas, and that band, she's got a concert t-shirt that says, and I shouldn't go, but she's got a concert t-shirt where he's holding like a rosary. Looks like a rosary, but then he's holding it upside down, like the cross is upside down on the t-shirt. And I told her, we talked about it and whatnot, and she's not into devil worship or anything like that. She knows it's all a fad that's just today's stuff now. But I told her, I said, people are really strange about that nowadays, and especially since you're still pretty young. I think until you get into high school, maybe we ought to just leave that shirt in the closet and you can wear it at home. Because I don't want teachers to form an opinion of her and then treat her differently because of some music that she likes and just a concert t-shirt. She liked the t-shirt and just happened to have something on it.
Yeah, and I was never one like you to censor the kids. Like I started showing my kid when he was 6. I have like a lot of Jason Voorhees stuff, so I started showing him. And Alice Cooper, who got the big thing of he was satanic. He had the big comeback with Friday the 13th 6 with the man behind the mask. I remember I saw him in concert. He had the balloons and they had the blood and he had the boa constrictor and all this bullshit. Let me give you a tip.
His dad, and wasn't his dad like a preacher or something?
Yeah, and it's a theatrical show. He still does them at the fucking Harris Casino at 90. But what people don't realize is then 20 years later, here comes Marilyn Manson. And I saw Marilyn Manson like long before he was Marilyn Manson. He was with Marilyn Manson and Spooky Kids. And I went all the way up to the concerts, Beautiful People, Antichrist Superstar. He was another one. They're like, he's Satan. It's like, no, he was smart. He said, I'm the new Alice Cooper. I got 15 minutes of fame. I'm going to write a bullshit autobiography. I'm going to make all these bullshit videos. Because I remember, I don't know if you remember this, we have the news here multiple times. So at the time, we had the news at 5, 6, and 10. And the news at 5, they were like, a devil worshiper is coming to the Orpheum Theater. His name is Marilyn Manson. He sings about Antichrist Superstar. I had my tickets already, probably along with, 50 other people. Now we come to the 6 o'clock news. The concert we told you about of Satan has sold out. He was, by exploiting this, you're helping these people sell things. And they did. And Marilyn Manson, he was in, I hate Michael Moore, but he was in that documentary about Bowling for Columbine. And he's like, fucking blame me, blame yourselves, like that, which was smart. He knew how to do it. I remember reading his autobiography and I stopped reading it. Like, I didn't even get halfway through. It was like, and then I opened my grandfather's chest and there were dildos full of cum. And it was just stupid. And I'm paraphrasing. Actually, I don't think I'm paraphrasing this, but it was dumb. But people were like, he knew how to take, okay, I'm going to play this character. I'm going to make all this money and I can. Because let me tell you what, all you kids that bought into that, season 7, he was the leader of the skinheads on Sons of Anarchy with his hair grown out. So he's not Paul from the Wonder Years. To some of these people, Ozzy Osbourne, I'm not a fan. He knew how to take this fucking gimmick where he ate bats and shit. Yep. And then once here comes the late 90s, early 2000s, I'm just going to be the dad on a fucking reality show going, but I'm going to reinvent myself. People, and I'm not lying, his daughter's actually kind of cute, but these people, they're not dumb. They know how to reinvent themselves. Judas Priest, I remember the big thing was, when I listened to Judas Priest, I heard him tell me to kill myself. It's like, no, the guy is singing like, what's it gonna die? He's got to take a breath. You heard him take a deep breath. He wasn't saying, kill yourself. He was, these people were made scapegoats for everything, but all these people, Tommy Lee, you like Motley Crue. Tommy Lee, my grandfather was a pervert, and he had a big box of porn. And my grandfather was such a fucking idiot. He had this big box of porn, but he put a towel over it. Oh, shit, it's the Invisible Man has come in. No one knows what this is. There's a towel. And they slept in separate rooms. And my grandma, she wasn't a fucking idiot. Well, she wasn't an idiot, but she'd be like, your grandfather's got that old box of porn. But in his mind, he's like, there's a towel over it. Shit, dumb bitch, don't know what's here. And he always like, go find me that movie with Pam and Tommy. And it'd be like, you're not slick. And they said, but Tommy Lee, even by his leaked out porn, he reinvented himself. Then he went to college, where we go, All these bands were not dumb. They just were like, okay, so everybody's coming down on us for Satanism. We're going to be Satanists. Now everybody thinks we're this. We're going to do this. You drag it out as long as you can.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I went to, I'm trying to remember. I went to the Iron Maiden concert.
Oh God.
And that was here at the Civic Auditorium. And
no offense.
I really liked them
A lot of
at the
people
time. I don't,
The
it's
mascot dude,
you
Eddie,
were a
was cool.
teenager. I liked Eddie. I liked the
Eddie
skeleton.
was cool.
I liked
Eddie was cool.
yeah, I liked all of that. But I remember a friend of ours. We were really close to the front of the stage, and there was a lot of people pushing and pushing and pushing. And I remember a friend of ours got stabbed in the shoulder, and like literally like stabbed in the shoulder, like somebody had a pocket knife or something. And it was a pretty big I mean, it was a stab. It wasn't like a slice or something like that. I mean, he got stabbed in the shoulder. We're looking around. We have no clue like who did it. Like, oh my gosh, was it this person? Am I going to get stabbed? Is it that person? And I remember we walked out at that point, towards the back of the auditorium, and then we were able to get him some first aid. But at that point, that caused paranoia for me for concerts. Like, I never went into a crowd ever again, into a concert after that concert. But it was, were those people crazy? Why would they just be like poking, stabbing people in the crowd? It was just super strange. That's the thing. You get crazy people that will do crazy things for no reason at all. It had nothing really to do with the music. It's just you had some idiot who happened to like Iron Maiden who just thought he was going to do something crazy. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the concerts that I went to. I love horror movies. I don't like cannibalistic movies. I don't know. I can't do those.
You don't want to come hang out. You don't want to hang out with me this weekend and watch Cannibal at Dr. Butcher.
Nope. Can't do that. But did you go to a lot of concerts here?
I did. And the funny thing was, I saw, let's think, because I was young. I remember going to see Suicidal Tendencies because I love them, and they opened for Queensryche, and we left when Queensryche came on stage.
I went to that
went to see,
but I like Queensryche.
We had a a venue here called the Ranch Bowl. Mm-hmm. I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I saw DRI, Sacred Reich, but that was my music. But as far as like the stuff that like the heavy metal stuff, I went to it when I was in junior high, but I was kind of like, I didn't really like it, but I was trying to fit in, and that's what it was. And I would see this music. It wasn't until I discovered punk music that I was actually all about that. But I wasn't dumb. Even at a young age, I was like, okay, well, this guy's got teased hair. He's wearing handcuffs on his leather pants. Poison, here we go. Wasp. There's a good one, Wasp. And I remember everybody's asked, that stands for We Are Satan's People. Ain't no fucking dots. It stands for Wasp, and Blackie Lawless, and all this, he was the big poster boy for it and everything. But it was music. And then here's what happens 2 years later. And I went to a lot of concerts at the Civic Auditorium, the Ranch Bowl, and the Orpheum. What happened next year? Those bands were gone. Here comes new bands. And even now, the last concert I went to was goddamn Pink with my wife. It's on a hell of a show, don't get me wrong. But everything changes, everything recycles. But the one thing I want to stress about music is, do you remember when everybody's like, it was all heavy metal music? Play the record backwards. Yeah. You hear the devil talk to you. The movie Trick or Treat, which is about a guy that plays, it's Skippy Family Ties thing. I said he plays the record backwards, guy comes out. They explain it. If you play the record, and I used to do that because I took radio broadcasting, and we used to scratch. Fuck those records up so bad. If you play a record backwards, you're going to mess it up. Now, if you play your record backwards so many times, what do you got to do? You got to go buy a new record. That's what the studio wants. And let me tell you what, if I said, go subscribe to Hardcore Truth. If I play that backward, it's not going to say, Hail Satan, Satan is my king. It's going to be like, you can't hide that stuff. I mean, it was just, People were dumb. Slayer. I remember when I went to see Slayer. Rain and Blood. Do you want to die? That stands for Satan laughs as you eternally rot. No, it doesn't. It's Slayer. It's okay. Granted, the swords make the pentagram. They were a pretty hard thrash band, but what's on the back of your shirt? I've got to ask that.
Yeah, it's Rain and Blood. Do you want to die?
You wanted okay, that's the one I had, but I didn't have the skeleton. I just had the I'm pointing. I just had the pentagram. But people, and then what happened? Like, okay, I'm looking at your Ozzy shirt. And he's on the throne to Satan or whatever that they all said. You know, what was it 2 years later? It was not, and it was the Randy Rhoads tribute. He's got the guy that died and he's holding him, he's hugging him. Everything changes. These guys, these entertainers are not dumb.
Yeah.
All right now we're on trial for Satan music. Let's push the shit out of it. Oh, next year, like Ice-T, Cop Killer, Body Bag, all that. Now I'm gonna do Law and Order. It's just recycled shit. That's all it is. Satanic Panic was a fucking joke. It was a joke the parents bought into.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's hard for the parents to distinguish, was this a fad when you've got professionals? Like you have a professional, like a psychiatrist who really pushed this, what do they call it? Dissociative, what do they call that? It's kind of like multiple personalities.
Schizophrenia?
Yeah. Well, it's the dissociative order. It's the
oh, she got on the glasses.
Yeah, dissociative disorder. It's basically the multiple personalities and repressed memories. So, I mean, you can't really fault the parents. And then you've got the news that's latching onto this stuff because you have somebody who is, a well-known psychiatrist who literally, put together cases and would talk about that he had kids that found repressed memories that they were, sexually abused. They were, satanic rituals and different things like that, cannibalistic type things, whatever. I mean, those are probably dreams they had from watching movies that Corey likes. But when you have professionals who are pushing a narrative, just like we've got narratives right now going on, in the world, right? If somebody wants people to believe something, all you got to do is put a professional with a professional title on it and say, this is really what's happening. And that's where you get the Geraldo and you get 2020 and them, warning parents, if your kid starts to wear black, that's the first sign, right? You remember that? It was like, oh, they're starting to wear black. That's like the first sign. So, if you have a professional like this, the psychiatrist, I think it was Bennett Braun, he was a psychiatrist that pushed a lot, and he was actually sued a couple of times for like millions of dollars because he had like one particular gal that he had convinced her that she had engaged in some type of satanic rituals and was a patient of his, and she ended up suing him because this was all false. He literally put these ideas in her head and it was false. And she ended up suing him for like $10 million. And she won. He lost his license in a couple of states. It was revoked, whatever. I think he actually just died not too long ago. But there was another case where some gal won $7 million because he had her thinking she had these repressed memories that her parents wanted her to specifically have children so they could sacrifice them to Satan. So when you have professionals in professional careers who are supposed to be upstanding and, have all these credentials, people believe them. It's just like all the people who believed everything that, follow the science, right? Follow the science. That's all I got to say. So...
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I said this was ADD, but the thing that started this all was a book. The book was called Michelle Remembers, and it was this lady. Her name was Michelle. I used to date a girl named Michelle. She was a fucking psycho, man. But hence, and here's what everybody realized. So she goes and sees this shrink, and hypnotizes her or whatever. And she starts having all these flashbacks to when she was abused and tortured by a satanic cult. So what do? You do two things. You marry your patient, which is unethical as fuck, and then you write a book, and then you get movie deals, and you go on talk shows and all. Here's where people were done. This lady was like, oh, I was out of for 81 days straight. I was in a cemetery tortured. Okay, well, in those 81 days, when we actually fact check you, you didn't miss a day of school. Well, the Satanists let you out to go to trigonometry. Your cemetery, so like, here's the cemetery. Here's a neighborhood. Here's another neighborhood. Here's another neighborhood. No one heard you screaming for 81 days. They cut off my mother's fingers. Here's your mom. She got her fucking fingers. Nobody even did that. They were like, oh, this lady, satanic cult doesn't got a. Well, this lady was a lying sack of monkey shit. And, and I don't have a problem saying that. And it's been discredited on when the National Enquirer discredits you, you got a problem. But everybody just remembered, they're like right away, this book, and it's a cool cover. It's like the Bible, and it's burning on fire. It's Michelle Remembers. Okay, well, this lady made up some stories, and it got the Satanic Panic rolling. This is what got it rolling, and I forgive me for not mentioning it earlier. But then when people actually started looking into it, they're like, well, I tortured for 81 days, but she missed any days of school? Oh, geez, this is... And I'm not talking like they're digging. We don't have the FBI digging into the hard facts. It's just common sense facts. It's like, yeah, you're lying, but nobody ever thought of that. It's just like to this day what we said about the McMartin trial. And these kids picking out Chuck Norris and saying they flew. There are still groups of people that are called like Believe the Children. Like, my kids wouldn't lie. I knew they flew around on a broom with a goat head puking on them. If you believe that, I'm sorry, you're a great parent. You love your kids. You're a fucking dummy.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'd like to think that you and I, people of our generation, not just me and you, were smarter. But unfortunately, in 20 years, we're going to be grandparents. Maybe sooner than that. It's going to be like, oh, yes, Satan is coming out of the streaming service. We're not going to know any better. It's a circle of life, but as kids, we were smarter in the 80s, and maybe we'll be smarter in the 2030s. Maybe we'll be dumb fucks. I don't know. But if your kid says you're an idiot, in this case, trust your kid.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Now I got to ask, what's on the back of your Judas Priest t-shirt?
Oh, no, that's just a little poster.
That's the poster. Now, the movie Rockstar with the great Mark Wahlberg of the Funky Bunch fame. That was kind of based on Judas Priest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing where I say parents are stupid. I saw Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch in concert. I took a girl to it in 91, 92. Who would have thought this would be the second highest paid actor in Hollywood?
Yeah.
I would have thought The Rock would be the highest paid actor in Hollywood. He's I love The Rock. Yeah. And I'm saying this now not to make light or change the subject, but I don't want to think parents think I'm singling them out. You don't know. Everything changes. Watch Trick or Treat. It's a great fucking movie. But back then, Trick or Treat, Black Roses, Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, all this stuff. Did you see, let me ask you real quick before we go, did you see The Exorcist when it came out or much later in life?
No, I was pretty young. I don't, what year did that come out? Was it 70s?
70s, yeah.
I want to say I saw it, I probably was like 5 or 6 years old. So I was probably, I was like 5 in 1979. So, yeah. It scared me, but I didn't like the demonic voice in it. Now, the spit and pea soup and whatever else, a lot of that was pretty fantastical, of course, the levitation and all that. But I never liked the sound of the voice, and I would always have to plug my ears. And even to this day, if that movie's playing, I have to plug my ears. It's just, maybe it brings back to it scared the crap out of me as a kid.
See, but you saw it when you were a kid. Now I watched my wife when we were in our mid to late 20s. I had never seen it. I got tired of people going, "Have you never seen that?"
Yeah.
And this literally was me. Because I've seen like that stuff on TV shows. Had I seen a girl taking a crucifix, stabbing herself in the crotch, and head spinning around, had I seen that, back when I was like 4 or 5, I'd have been like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But I didn't. So that just kind of tells you that as you get older, things kind of change. Like, now I'll give you a tip. You said you liked Hellraiser.
Mm-hmm.
I love Hellraiser. Now, in the first Hellraiser, for those of you that don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, there's this guy named, I think his name's Frank. It rings a bell. And he's just like, he doesn't have any skin. And if the girl gets these guys on the bed and they have sex, he comes up, he gets their skin. Now, when my son was 7 years old, he wanted to watch Hellraiser because I have a big pinhead statue. And I was very leery about that. He'd watched a lot of horror movies. I was very leery about that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be right next to you. If you get the slightest bit, and I was really nervous. I was like, if you get the slightest bit nervous, you say one word, we'd turn this off, we watch SpongeBob SquarePants. I don't know. We're about an hour in. Now, this guy's already killed like 3 people on this fuck bed where he gets skinned. And my kid looks at me, he's like, Dad, can we turn this off? I was like, are you okay? This movie is boring. So my kid thinks Hellraiser is boring. But it's just the difference. Like, that movie was creepy as shit to me. I'm sure it was creepy as shit to you. To a kid of today's stage, show it to your daughter. She'll be like, God, when's this going to end? It's just, everyone's different. So if you thought I want to say parents, if you were watching, I don't know if you skew an older crowd, if you think we're making fun of you, I'm personally not, kind of, but I'm making fun of my own parents, but I'm not making fun of you. It just changes. There'll be another Satanic Panic. Taylor Swift is satanic when she farts into a microphone. I don't know.
I feel like it's made another wave through, because I felt like it kind of took a rest for a while, and maybe it's just because my kids weren't into certain music. My youngest is not really into Taylor Swift or any. Actually, I don't think any of my daughters like Taylor Swift. I think they may have when they were really little, when she was doing the teeny bopper stuff. But yeah, no, everything makes a cycle. These are entertainers, whether you're watching movies or it's an entertainer, a musician. Some band comes along and they've got something on their album cover. It's really it's all packaging. It's all to sell something. Like you said, Marilyn Manson, he knew exactly what he was doing and how he was going to make millions of dollars, cashing in on it. So really, it's all about advertising and marketing. And this was really packaged and marketed, really, really well back in the 80s and 90s. And it really made a lot of bands out there, and also movies and whatnot, made them a lot of money because with all the panic, people wanted to know more. So what is it, like the inquiring minds want to know, right?
You do.
So
well, I guess I don't have anything else to say this week. Do you?
No, I could talk about it forever, but yeah, that was a really, really everything everywhere. But it was good though.
I got a really cool idea for a Halloween episode, but I'm not going to share it with you people. Share it with her after I push stop. Watch Trick or Treat. Listen to Slayer. Well, and don't listen to that shit. Anyway.
It really sucks. After you try to go back and listen to it when you're older, you're like, I really listen to this crap.
Oh, that happens to me all the time. The worst thing, and if you're a parent listening, the worst thing for me as a parent is like we have an Alamo Draft House, and they show like all the old movies. And be like, oh yeah, baby. Son, we're going to the movies. Wait till you see, this movie was the shit when I was a kid. And then you go to it, and not only does the kid go, sucks, but you're sitting there going, God, I like this fucking thing.
I know.
I mean, if it's I guess the moral of the story is if it's a fond memory of your childhood, keep it as a memory.
Yeah, exactly. I know I failed many times on that where I'm like, oh, you guys, you got to watch this scary movie that I watched, when I was younger. And then we're not even a quarter way through it. I'm like, God, this is not as good as I remember it. Yeah. Memories. That's where they need to stay. Memories.
What do you want to talk about next week? Any idea? Or are we going to figure that out later?
I don't know. Let's see. We're coming up on fall and Halloween, and I don't know. What sounds good?
I work with a guy that thinks reptile people are real.
Let's see. Do we have enough for an episode on that? Or maybe we need to go over strange things that people think that are real that are really not real. Maybe collaborate.
Go watch V. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that show. Yeah.
I love it. I watched it when I had COVID. I watched V because I didn't want to get up and change the channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll think of something for you next week. Monday. Sometime. I have anything else to say, do you?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for watching.
Mill Basin is a nice town with good schools.
Julie, what did Emerson mean by the Red Slayer?
Emerson?
But trouble's coming to Mill Basin, and this town will never be the same. If rock and roll is the devil's music, then Black Roses is the house band.
I mean, last week, all they could think about was midterms. Now it's Black Roses.
I love you, Dad.
There's something going on in this town, and you gotta help me stop it.
Where have you been? Did you go and see that show again after I told you not to?
You have to come with me to that concert tonight. Now, I can't explain it. I think they're doing something to the kids, controlling their minds. I can feel it, Neil.
I brought you a present.
What the hell is going on here? What you do with my kids?
The hottest band this side of hell is coming to town, and they're saving your soul a seat. Black Roses.